Can we talk about you or who you are or who God says that you are? Well, if there's an area of my life that I've struggled with more than any other area, it's this one. And I think partially because I grew up poor with a single mom who worked really hard, but I still felt inferior. Not as nice as stuff, not as smart, not as good looking, not as athletic. I mean, go down the list of things. And I'm not saying that it was all true, but I believed it was true. And so I built my life on this inferiority, if you will, and carried that well up into my adult life. And it's really only been over the last 5 to 10 years that I begin to walk confidently who God says that I am. And I've done that by doing one thing. Let's keep it simple today. It might help somebody. I got to know my Creator better. I know, right? It's crazy. But you think about it, if you want to know the creation, well, you get to know the Creator. See, as I got to know my Creator better, then I got to know His creation better, which is me and you. And it's not really that difficult, but we make it very difficult. But what is difficult is that it don't just happen overnight. It requires some time and some effort and some work on our part to build this relationship with a Creator. But I'm going to promise you that it's worth it. And nothing more inspired me in my life in this area than several years ago when I met this guy who was about my age at the time, in his early 30s. And he had to have been about the smartest guy I'd ever met in my life. Not just book smart, common sense, social skills. I mean, just off the charts how incredible this guy was. I was in awe. I was like, wow, I've never met anybody like this. It's very intriguing. And as I got to know him more, he was a pastor. He had went to college and went to law school. He had finished law school. He was almost ready to go sit for the bar. And God took him a different direction. And he became a pastor. And so as I sat and watched this man talk to different people over the course of just getting to know him over several years, I watched him sit at the table with somebody who was very successful according to this world, business-wise, whatever it may be, financially very rich. And I've watched him sit with people that were really poor. And I've watched people sit at the table with him that were white and black, different colors of hair, different piercings, different tattoos. And this man could communicate to every single one of them, and he didn't treat any one of them any different than the other. It blew my mind because you thought, well, this guy would have been, more related to this person, but it didn't matter who come through the door. And I said to him one day, I said, you really have a gift when it comes to this. And he said, Brian, I don't think it's a gift. I think it's a result of getting to know your Creator. Because he said, when I look in the Gospels and I see Jesus, I see that in Jesus too. And he said, if our job as believers is to become more Christ-like, well, shouldn't we also take that on as well? He said, it's not something I've pursued, but it's definitely something that God has done because I've gotten to know my Creator. And in doing so, I've got to know His creation, which is me. And when you know who you are in Him, it doesn't matter who sits at the table with you because you realize that you're not inferior to anyone and that anyone that sits at that table is not inferior to anyone else that sits at that table. Just because somebody has money or success or a certain color doesn't matter. We're all the same. And we all have incredible gifts and talents and various things that God has put in us to contribute to our culture. Unfortunately, we do not live in a world that lives by that standard. But you know what? Just because the world doesn't choose it doesn't mean that we have to choose that. You want to do yourself and everybody around you a favor today. Get to know your Creator. Spend some time building that relationship and you will find out who His creation is, who you are, and your value. And so when it comes to sitting at the table again, you'll not be inferior to anyone, and no one will be any better than anyone else. And you'll treat everyone with the same dignity and respect that they deserve and the love of the Father because you have taken on the heart of the Father, your Creator, because you are His creation. Love you.